Ryan, welcome back to the podcast. Good to have you.
Hey, good to be back, my friend. Good to be back.
I love it. I love the background, by the way.
Oh
The
yeah, yeah. We got,
uniform, arms in the air, after
you
winning
got,
the Super Bowl.
yeah, you got to have a home office space. The digital meetings are taking place more and more, and as a broadcaster, you always got to have your legitimacy behind you. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm rocking.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it was a blast. For those of you who haven't listened to Ryan and my first podcast that we did, I'll make sure to put the link out there. But go check it out. We just dive really, really deep into your career and background and mindset and your new book and all that stuff, or not so new book anymore, but a couple of 2 months in now. And so
Yeah, yeah.
everybody will have to absolutely check that out. And then it was a blast spending, late last week, about a week ago, getting to come on your sports talk radio show and talk mental toughness and
Yeah.
just talk some kind of real life mental struggles that people go through, athletes and even sports talk radio hosts. So
Yeah, yeah. My co-host was going through a bout of digestion issues, and he turned to you for some for some advice. That was great. But I love what you said. You said you interviewed one of the marathon runners, and they said sometimes you only have 20%, but you can give 100% of that 20%.
yep.
And honestly, we didn't hear him complain after that. So thank you for all.
Perfect.
Thank you
Perfect.
for all of it. And I know too, you won't say it, but there was like a piece of you that's like, I don't know if really Ryan really has a radio show going. And so I'm glad to show you that we had the bricks and mortar and you can see the text line, man. People loved it. So we're grateful you came by and you gave people some great advice on how to go through life.
No, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I'll have to put the link 92.5 here in the Denver area. It was awesome. So yeah, I absolutely know it's real now. Yeah, it was so much fun spending time with you. Uh,
Always a blast.
well, I'm so fired up because you're going to be one of our speakers, one of our panel members at the Shift Experience here next week, May 15th and 16th. And so excited to kind of share the stage with you and learn from you again. Every time I'm with you, I just learn something about how to just appreciate people, how to kind of dig deeper and just love spending time with you. So super excited to have you at the event.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me. And I echo that same thing, from the first time you and I connected, it's like, man, there's some great synergy going on. And more than anything, I love that you care about other people's mental aspect. And that's athletes, that's parents, that's, in a relationship, that's going for a new job. And to me, there's just not enough people giving good information in this space and being honest in this space. And I value your honesty and your willingness to help people. So I'm happy and so thrilled to be a part of the Shift experience.
No, it's going to be awesome. And, a couple of questions for you, because I want people to get a little glimpse into you before they go look at the bigger podcast and hopefully join us for the Shift. But, you do a lot of things between the sports talk radio. You've published the book. You're out speaking. I'm doing a number of different things. What gets you so fired up and excited to start the day? To
Yeah.
do what you do.
Well, one, I'm retired, so I get to do what I want to do in a day. After 10 years in the NFL, I enjoyed the little things, and I enjoyed the little things about playing in the NFL.
Yes.
But for me, winning the Super Bowl, everything that I believed about myself came true for other people, and I want other people to have that moment in their life. I'm thankful. I had great mentors. I had great mental performance coaches, and I was able to create my wildest dream. And I really want people to have that in their life, and it brings me great joy when I can help people touch on and find the things that really matter to them, move beyond some obstacles that have really held them back. And I know that we all have these things, whether it's in our personal lives or our professional lives. And one of the unique aspects that I bring as an athlete, many people think that I was all, as football players in the NFL, we were always good at the NFL, right? We were always good at football. But athletes know, success is just failure stacked on top of failure. So the more that I can encourage others to achieve their dreams, give them tools to move past any obstacles, I want to do it. And that's what brings me joy in life.
That's awesome. Who's the best coach you've ever had? High school, collegiate, professional. Who's the best coach, and how did that person help mold you into the person you are today?
That's a great question. I was very fortunate. I had some great coaches. Mike Munchak, who was at the Pittsburgh Steelers, he's now with the Denver Broncos. He has one of my favorite sayings: "If you think it, do it." And here's a guy who played in the NFL for a long time. And basically, if you think it, do it isn't, hey, I'm thinking about running away, so I'm going to run away. But it's trusting your preparation. And when you've prepared and when you've studied and when you feel that hair on the back of your neck standing up, especially on the football field, trust that. Trust your preparation. And Gary Kubiak, who won the Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos, he was always such a straight shooter, and he always had fun. He'd say things like "play well" and just focus on playing fast. He'd say, "Hey, every game day," he would say, "Hey, mistakes today are on us as coaches. You just go out and play, and we'll figure it out Monday and Tuesday. But the mistakes are on us. Go play." And then I had a great coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Heck, who just really taught me the details and really taught me to put in that time. College coach who Coach Latina, he's a wild guy. He said the F word every other word,
Right.
to set the record. But, he taught me worry about the things you can control. And that came to play a lot when I was in the NFL and found myself almost year after year in battles for a position. I can't worry about whether Matt's doing well or I'm doing well. All I'm going to focus on is just me and me improving. And that's how I won a lot of starting jobs in the NFL. And then, of course, Ray Hitchcock was my high school coach who, just drilled in those sayings to me of, hey, he had these boards, 2 by 10 by 12. I'm like 20 years removed now. I could tell exactly what
Right.
they are, but just detailing and repetition and practicing. So all of those coaches brought me great things. Clancy Barone as well, when they won the Super Bowl, telling me again to just trust my instinct. And so I was very fortunate to have great coaches around me. And that's the thing I always tell people in real life, like, it's not like you just pick up a football and you start playing and you're great. You need
Yes.
coaches. You need people to be a sounding board. And I was very fortunate to have some of the best in my career.
That's awesome. And, I think this is interesting because, and I can't remember if we actually talked about this before or not, but this whole concept of like receiving feedback, right? You're playing football very, on the outside, very ego-driven sport, right? I think just males in general were ego-driven, right? And in a kind of ego-driven sport, often that feedback, I don't know, it can make you a little probably frustrated, pissed off, angry, stuff like that. At least for me, sometimes I don't want to hear it. That's why I don't ask for help, right? It's like I don't want to hear your feedback because I know it's going to – I don't want to hear the truth, right? That's the truth of that. But how did you were you different than other players, or did you come up against those where you're like, you're hearing this feedback and you're like, man, my ego is rising up against it, like that blocked you from hearing it? I don't know if my question makes sense, but like –
no, 100%.
How did you got to deal with that, like that feedback piece, that just to make sure you were taking in what you needed to take in?
Well, two things really stick out. One, I always took criticism. I always was willing to learn. I remember three things. One, I was always willing, and I remember my first football coach, he turned to me after our first practice, said, and he's going through different guys, and said, and if you work at it, you're going to be a great football player. And I just thought, wow, what an opportunity. So I was always willing to improve. I think that's part of it.
Yep.
Number two, I used to take things incredibly personal when coaches would give me critique. And a lot of it had to do with the third point, which is we trust, for some reason, we always think that the person coaching or giving us advice is the best at doing it, right? But I had a breakthrough moment where I learned many coaches coach from a deficit. And that sometimes that's a deficit of, I don't know how to communicate effectively. That's a deficit of their knowledge. I had one coach where I knew more about football than he did, and his way of trying to establish boundaries in a hierarchy was to put players down all the time. So I really understood, okay, this coach is coaching from a deficit. I had a couple of coaches who were fear-based coaches. They wanted to make me so afraid of making a mistake that I didn't do it. Well, let me tell you something, Matt. Don't think of blue. Don't think of the color blue. Don't think of the color blue.
Right.
You're thinking about a million blue things that that's in front of you right now.
Exactly.
So for me, really having a willingness, understanding that I take things personal, and then also understanding not every coach is going to take the time to learn how I digest information best. I digest information without emotion, and I need and when I work best is when my coach understands I'm not trying to fail. I don't want to fail. I want to be great, not to be famous, not to make a ton of money. I want to be great at what I'm doing. And that's something that's hard for even in the radio world for people to get used to in broadcasting, right? Some people, they want to be the number one broadcaster. I don't know what that means. I don't care. But when you see me on TV, when you hear me on the radio, I want to be great. And so me understanding that not everyone's going to have the time or the personal capacity to understand how I learn, I've got to change how I accept that information as well. And those were some breakthroughs for me in my career.
I think that's huge. I've had a lot of talks at different companies as of late. I don't know what it is, but about this, like the way we interpret emails, the way we interpret feedback via a phone call or in person, whatever. But we're all taking it so personally right now.
Right.
Where if you're able to separate yourself and be like, well, maybe they don't have to your point, at that deficit, they don't know how to properly tell me how to do this. So what do I want to take from this that's constructive for me to grow, right?
100%.
I think that's a huge piece. At the shift, we're focused on our 4 B's, right? We've got our brain, which is kind of all about mindset stuff. We've got our body, where my wife's talking about nutrition. We're actually doing a workout during the event, kind of talking recovery. We've also got our business, right? So how do we grow our business and career? Kind of take that to the next level. And the last piece is bond. So our relationships, right? Who we surround ourselves with. As you hear those 4 B's, our brain, body, business, and bond, is there one that sticks out to you of like, oh my gosh, that was one where I'm currently working on, or I know I've worked on in the past to get to this point? And can you share a little bit about like which one sticks out and why for you?
Yeah, well, and that's part of the reason why I'm so thrilled to join you at the Shift Experience, because those are some major B's, man. Those are some major B's, and as a lineman, of course, I'm not going to say body. I mean, come on, that's man, 15, that really don't look good, and no matter how many kind of pinstripes you got, but and business is interesting, and body and brain is just huge. Brain is huge, but the one that really sticks out to me that we're talking about lately has been bond. And I mentioned how I started realizing, okay, this coach is coaching from a deficit. This coach coach does not know this is an ineffective way to coach me. I had one coach embarrass me. Well, when you embarrassed me, I'm going to come right back at you. We had a huge blowout in a meeting, and the coach was like, Ryan, I had no idea that this would make you this upset. So what the hell do you think when you try to embarrass me in front of my guys? I'm going to come at you with everything I got, but the bond part. And I've been doing reading incredible books about not only subliminal messages and things that happen, but how we communicate with each other. A perfect example, I have a show on the radio, and some broadcasters, it really matters whose show it is. And I don't care whose show it is, right? I care what we do on that show. So if I understand that somebody I'm working with, it really matters who does the job to them, who takes the credit, then I can, from my perspective, say, okay, it really matters to Matt whose responsibility it is for this greatness. So when I talk to people, hey, well, Matt really did a great job of putting us all together, bringing us together for this Shift Experience. And Matt is the guy who really spearheaded the brain, body, business, and bond movement. I'm giving all the credit because I really don't care. What I care is that I make an impact on the people that are there. So that bond aspect, and not from what can I get from a Matt? What can I get from someone listening or viewing? Not from that perspective, because that is immediately identified and that will rupture bridges, right? But when I can take the time to learn what's important, one of the things my wife, change is something that really affects her and the type of person, the people that she is. So I learn about direct, indirect people, task versus people-oriented people. So with my wife, change is something that really is tough to handle. So I'd say something like, hey, in a few months, I'd really like to go on a vacation. Here are some ideas. Or me telling her, even because I'm kind of a, go by the, I'm fine if ideas get shot down or not. I'm kind of moving, shaking. I'm a
Yep.
task oriented person. So
Yes.
so I explained to her, hey, I've got these ideas. None of this is going to happen in the next 6 months. And she's like, okay, great. So I can, knowing the bond that we have, knowing what's important and what's important to her and how she operates really helps me communicate and form that bond. So the bond part to me has been incredibly useful, productive, and that's led to, better business. That's led to me finding new workouts that keep my body in shape, me listening when my wife tells me in retirement, hey, you got to work out, not just for you, but for our family, right? You got to take care of your body so you're not in pain. And then that helps my brain with happiness and joy. And really,
Yes.
I'm constantly learning and listening to other people. Mike
Yeah.
Tomlin of the Pittsburgh Steelers starts every meeting the same every morning. Listening is a skill. And the more we listen, the stronger bonds we build.
If that doesn't convince the listeners to show up to the shift experience, I don't know what will, man. I don't know what will.
Yeah.
This is going to be a blast. I just am so thankful that you've taken these last few minutes with me just to chat about this. I've learned, again, something more from you that I didn't know before, and that's why I love spending time with you.
Hey, man, it's always a pleasure when we come together, my brother, and I can't wait to see you next week.
This is great. We'll go knock it out and see you in a couple of days.
Yep.
Experiencetheshift.io. Check it out, everybody. Come join Ryan Harris and myself and a bunch of other amazing people at this event. Can't wait to see you there. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.